Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
This is TV 18 and you're watching CNBC TV 18.
Auto stocks are all hitting fresh highs as we speak.
We're talking about 13,000 on the Nifty and counting. The Sensex is higher by 350 points.
Market is continuing to do very, very well, isn't it? 115 points as we speak. 13,043.
The Nifty scales the level of 13,000 fairly comfortably, sustaining above that. Party out there in the broader market too. Pretty much ending at the highs of the session.
New peaks as President Trump signals a peaceful transition to Joe Biden, to a Joe Biden regime, with the dovish Janet Yellen set to assume charge of the Treasury. Nifty and Sensex end 1% higher. Nifty tops 13,000.
The real estate index ends over 1% higher after BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal said that he's working with all the key political parties to request that 22 different premiums to be paid by real estate companies be excused till the end of next year.
Nifty Bank leads the rally on Dalal Street. The index ends 2.5% higher. It's the best performing index. ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank gained the most.
Economy-facing stocks rally. Auto index ends close to 3% higher on the back of a positive consumption trend. Sibyl 2 highlights a credit demand buoyancy lies beyond the metros.
BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal clarifies that they are not looking at any further lockdowns in Mumbai. Shashank Joshi, member of the COVID-19 task force in Maharashtra, adds that Mumbai city's COVID cases well under control. Well, those were the top 5 headlines from Dalal Street on a day when the markets completely went the bullish way. Welcome to Markets Today, the show where we will tell you all that happened in those 6 hours of trading, and it was a gently upward sloping curve. We'll tell you all those stories in 5 headlines. I'm Lata Venkatesh with my colleague Prashant Nair. Hi, Prashant.
Lata, hi. I mean, another up and up day, 146 points higher at the day's highest point. I mean, it's pretty simple, isn't it? I mean, the market wants to go higher, and it's being boosted by banks. I mean, the number one sector, which has been in action now for the last almost a month and a half. We've got lots of opinion, lots of stories. In market opinion, you'll hear from Andrew Holland of Avendus Capital. N. Jayakumar, Managing Director of Prime Securities, also weighs in. In corporate opinion, we'll have Laksh Vaman Sehgal, Vice Chairman of Motherson Group, with the company's 2025 target. We will also get you snippets of our conversation with the BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal and Shashank Joshi, who's the member of the COVID-19 task force for Maharashtra. But before all of that opinion, let's quickly wrap up the day itself and what happened. Lata.
Well, actually, there was no stopping liquidity, and then we are finding other reasons. And there were plenty, actually, good news from every quarter. President Trump directing his head of administration in the White House to make for a peaceful transition to Joe Biden presidency. As well, Joe Biden announced his cabinet, and key appointment included Janet Yellen, who is a known dove, and also, of course, peace between Treasury and Fed, which is always good for the US economy. What's good for the US economy is good for the global economy. And then you had more vaccine candidates getting reported, the AstraZeneca vaccine or the Oxford vaccine, reporting more success, 70% in the single dose, 90% double dose. Some vaccine candidates in India are also reporting successes. So it was a cocktail of good news. But the best of all is that flood of liquidity lifts all boats. And you saw the baton being handed from the traditional, IT pharma reliance to banks yet again. And today was all the economy-facing stocks going up on the expectation that if there's so much liquidity and so much good news and end of the COVID and arrival of the vaccine, then the economy is all set to recover. That was the logic on which the markets moved today. An important point is they ended at the highest point of the day. They opened gap up, and actually, even if you bought the gap up at the end of the day, you would have made like a good 1 percentage point on the Nifty itself. So that's, a dream run for a bullish trader. But Prashant, you tell us all the nitty-gritties, all the big stocks, all the big moves.
I mean, everything was up, Lata. I mean,
Yes.
I think we can, not everything actually, to be fair, but it looked like everything was up, didn't it? So, let me just identify where there were maximum gains. Banks, as I said, Bank Nifty, private bank really leading that pack. Real estate was up, and we'll talk about that in greater detail. Autos, Maruti leading the pack there. Pharma and the PSU bank space also saw gains. So, I mean, this is the top of the pack as far as Nifty stocks go. Adani Ports, we had Axis Bank, HDFC Bank, SBI, ICICI Bank from the financial space, and then we had, Aisha, Hindalco, Mahindra and ITC, which participated as well. ITC, by the way, is now slowly crept up some 20% from the recent lows. Actually, from the time that we had the management on the channel, the stock's up about 20% from that point on, roughly. Okay, the broader gains, and this is the broader market, gains in RBL Bank, Shriram Transport, second-tier names basically, M&M Finance, Equitas, the other sort of financial names. What else? Bosch was up strongly. Suntech Real Estate was up 20% at one point in time. Mumbai-based player was up 12 at close. BEML ended up about 6.5 higher. Century Textiles, good volumes. Bombay Dyeing. There was Rallis India, which was up 5.25. Kirloskar Brothers, Alembic Limited, Viatech Vabag, Suven Pharma, Shalby. We had Colte Patil. Again, a bunch of real estate names doing well. Persistent, CG Power was up another 5%, almost at 40 rupees now. And there was something like a Tata Communications which participated as well. There were, the market breadth was positive. Advances outnumbered stocks which fell by some 400, 450 stocks. But as I said, it looked like the kind of day, and it felt like the kind of day which was a lot more buoyant than what it actually was. Lata.
Oh, absolutely. Take your point, look at the advanced declines and how they are parallel lines. In market opinion, we spoke with Andrew Holland of Avendus Capital, and he expects mid-caps to start performing, even outperforming the Nifty, and the Nifty itself to hold steady. We also spoke with N. Jayakumar of Prime Securities, and he says the longevity of this bull market is assured. He sees the liquidity flood not stopping anytime soon. Listen to both these opinions.
Our funds are mainly focused towards the large cap, so that's where we'll concentrate our efforts. But if you're going to have the economy rebounding strongly in 2021, then India is a domestic-driven economy, so mid caps will do well. I would say you need a balance of what I would say is of growth stocks, predominantly more growth stocks, with a smattering of kind of value stocks, which could be in the kind of mid cap sector. Would be where I'd be kind of, doing kind of that barbell approach if I wanted to kind of bring mid caps into the fold. So I think, the rally will definitely be led by the large caps, that's for sure. There's a lot going for India Inc. in terms of their own kind of growth. And particularly, it's all about the leaders. The leaders are, the big companies, the leaders in the pack are just continuing to take market share. And I think that's, really where I think that growth story continues. And while, valuations we can say are somewhat stretched, I think they'll remain stretched for a long period until earnings catch up. But I think earnings upgrades have we started to see them a few weeks back. I think that's accelerating, and I think it will accelerate more into 2021.
As long as skepticism remains as high as it is, and people's participation remains as low, and those who are participating remain as uncomfortable as they are, I think the longevity of the bull market is assured. So I see involvement or participation still at pretty low levels. Positions are, locals have been selling, and therefore the mirror image in terms of local investors have been booking profits in a whole bunch of stocks. And we've had, the biggest sort of bulwark of this market has been the financial services sector that contributed nothing to the move from 8,000 to, let us say, 11,500. And that's when the financial services decided to stand up and, be counted.
Okay, that is opinion that we got through the course of the day to discuss the global market strength, because this is a global move that we're seeing. We're joined by Arnab Das. He's Global Market Strategist with Invesco. Arnab, thanks very much for joining us. Good to have you here. You know, the S&P is almost at 3,600 right now. The futures, when you look at them, most global markets are higher. Flows have been super strong into emerging markets. What are you seeing from there, Arnab, in terms of how, how much more liquidity is there in terms of the flows which can continue to take the market even higher from here? Or you think, at some point this will start to taper off a little bit?
Well, I'm sure we'll have volatility and setbacks along the way, but I think we're still, going into a better place, right? I mean, we have a lot of positive developments. We have the vaccines. Now there's a selection of them, some of which are easier to deploy in many different kinds of countries and settings. We have kind of a stabilization of U.S. political risk. I think we still have challenges to overcome, but the main thrust of the new information, I think, is quite positive. And against that, I think, or despite that, we'll need to have monetary policy and financial conditions still continuing to be very easy for some time to come, particularly from the Fed, because the Biden presidency is likely to be able to achieve a fiscal stimulus, but maybe smaller than it had been hoped for before. So that probably puts a bit more emphasis and onus on the Fed, and therefore a lower, flatter yield curve and a weaker dollar more supportive for global economy and for emerging markets. So I don't think we're fully out of the woods, but I think, we can clearly see, that we're heading in the right direction. And we can see the kind of the dawn ahead, right?
Yeah, Arnab, thanks for joining us. This rally, the ferocity of this rally almost came out of nowhere. In the start of November, yes, we were looking like the economy is recovering and the vaccines will come in sometime by the end of the year. But, it's like a 12-13% rise in our Nifty. And if you think our eyes are popping out, look at the CAC, look at the DAX, look at so many European indices, look at the Indian Nifty Bank, up 20-25%. This is a hugely ferocious rally. Can it really last with this ferocity?
Well, I think what's happening is as you say, a very ferocious and kind of enforced rotation in which underweights and shorts in the lagging sectors of the economy that were hardest hit by the pandemic and by the lockdowns, both in terms of sector and in terms of geography, those underweights and those shorts are being covered because of all these positive developments on the vaccine front, right? I mean, we are still in a lockdown, although it looks like we'll be emerging in some countries, at least the UK. We're in the second wave. There's a significant chance of a double dip in many Western economies. There are many emerging economies in which the reopenings have been sort of paused or reversed to some extent, maybe not as deeply in Western Europe. But against that, we have this prospect that as the vaccines are deployed, we can gradually and significantly go back to normal, to pre-COVID. I don't think we'll get there very quickly or very much in a straight line, but nevertheless, since that's the change of direction, those underweights and shorts have to be covered, which I think explains the ferocity of the recovery trades, the reflation trades. But I don't think it's going to be a situation where it all just peters out. We have to keep financial conditions very loose in order to ensure that we have the best possible chances of as smooth a recovery as possible. And there'll be hiccups along the way, but because we need to keep financial conditions loose, I think we'll continue to have flows into that rotation, into emerging markets, into cyclicals, and into value, at the relative expense, at least, of growth and technology and of the United States.
Arnab, of the $412 billion of assets under management of FIIs in India, 87% of it comes from non-India dedicated funds. I mean, I was looking at data. If you look at the 13%, which is India dedicated funds, they've actually seen outflows. It's the non-India dedicated funds, the diversified, funds which can invest in other markets in the region as well, which have taken in the most amount of money. Does that does it tell us something in terms of, I mean, so this is not a market-specific move. This is a broad gush of money into all things outside of US, emerging markets, etc. Any way one can kind of say when this gush slows down, starts to taper off? I mean, should we watch the dollar index? Are there any other indicators you would watch closely?
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. I think this is a kind of beta wave, right? This is a shift from at least a degree of risk off or risk consideration to a risk on short covering rally, and that accounts for, I think, precisely what you're saying, right? That it's not country specific yet. I think in order for it to become country specific, some of the actions that different governments are taking, and in the case of India, the Modi government is taking with labor and land reforms, these reforms have to be delivered, and the result has to be some offset to the to the significant hits in economic activity that have taken place throughout emerging markets, especially in India. I think in the other direction, that what causes the kind of general systematic rally to taper off or to reverse course, I think we would need a significant shock in the international system, maybe such as a problem with the vaccine. Obviously nobody wants anything like that, but if there's a significant problem with the vaccine or a significant mutation to a more resistant, more virulent form of the virus that the vaccines can't handle, then we might get a significant tapering off. Other shocks could also occur, right? Tensions in the international system are still running high, even though the histrionics and kind of the tweets around that may be somewhat less extreme or significantly less extreme than they have been. The tensions are still there between the United States and China and many other countries as well. So those things could still cause a problem.
Of course.
In the UK, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, of course, those red flags are always there. But as of now, what's your best market or your top three markets?
Well, I think, geographically, what we're talking about here is emerging markets and Europe.
Okay.
Sector-wise, I think we're talking, like I said before, about growth and, about cyclicals and value.
Okay.
And finance, obviously, part of that.
All right. Got that. Arnab Das, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for sparing time for us. Okay, so geography-wise, EMs are still a favoured sector as of now. We'll take a break on that note, but do stay tuned. We've got lots of interesting stuff that we got when we spoke with the BMC Commissioner. You don't want to miss that.
Share your ideas, share your music, share your photographs, but don't share your passwords. Revealing your trading passwords to anyone is an open invitation for misuse. A smart investor is one who will always ensure that passwords are always kept in a safe, secured and confidential manner.
NSE द्वारा निवेशकों के हित में जारी।
Micro, small and medium-sized businesses have taken the hardest hit in the current pandemic. Industry leaders share insights on reviving India's MSMEs with ideas, innovations and investments. On Standard Chartered and CNBC TV 18 present India on the Move Season 4. At this time, only on CNBC TV 18.
Presented by Standard Chartered.
Introducing Byju's classes. तो आज ही ट्रायल क्लास बुक करो. Visit byju's.com. Byju's classes हैं, तो progress है.
Sustainability and value are the primary objectives of risk management in the new normal. If you prove your mettle in identifying and mitigating risks in your organization, nominate yourself. ICICI Lombard and CNBC TV 18 present India Risk Management Awards, honoring the new age risk management practitioners.
Presented by ICICI Lombard General Insurance.
प्रेजेंटेशन
नहीं, ऊपर वाले फ्लैट के लिए होम लोन
पर ब्रांच विजिट
ऑनलाइन. इट्स द न्यू नॉर्मल.
नहीं, यू डू होम लोन, आई विल डू भिंडी. इट्स द न्यू नॉर्मल.
अब हमारे ब्रांच जैसे ही आपको होम लोन से जुड़े सर्विसेज मिलेंगे ऑनलाइन। HDFC होम लोन्स।
Register now for HTLS 2020. Experience, engage, express.
जब शादी के बिल्स पे करते करते याद आता है हनीमून का वादा और अकाउंट देख के लगता है कि ये सपना रह जाएगा आधा, पर दोस्त कहता है कि भाई एक लोन ले और हॉलिडे का सपना पूरा कर ले। पर लोन कौन देगा वेकेशन के लिए? तो दोस्त कहता है SBI का पर्सनल लोन है ना, चाहे हो वेडिंग या हो वेकेशन या पूरी करनी हो कोई भी विश, फ्यू सेकंड्स में लोन अवेल करो योनो ऐप पर, सिर्फ 4 क्लिक्स में। एलिजिबिलिटी के लिए 567676 पर मैसेज करें। SBI's प्री अप्रूव्ड पर्सनल लोन, छोटी बड़ी खुशियों के लिए।
इस भयानक महामारी से जंग में हमारा सबसे बड़ा हथियार है पानी, क्योंकि पानी है तो स्वच्छता है, पर जरूरी है इसका समझदारी से इस्तेमाल करना, और यही है मिशन पानी का लक्ष्य। जुड़िए मेरे साथ आप एक न्यूज़ 18 मिशन पानी से, क्योंकि स्वच्छता और पानी आखिर बचानी है जिंदगानी।
You're still with us on Markets Today, and here are the rest of the headlines that we are tracking for you. The important one is coming from the realty space. In what comes as a boost for the stocks in this sector, BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal told CNBC TV 18 that Mumbai has seen a big surge in home registrations after the stamp duty cut. He also said that the BMC commissioner has requested the government to cut a number of premiums paid by real estate companies to give a boost to the city's economy. Sonal Butra is here with highlights of the interview, and then you can hear out the commissioner himself.
Well, absolutely. Maharashtra-based real estate stocks, they were in focus today on the back of positive commentary coming in from the BMC Commissioner, where he said that there were 11.4 lakh home registrations post the stamp duty cut, that is in last 2.5 months. And because of this, the government has been able to garner around 8,400 crore rupees in terms of revenue. He added that they have deferred the 17.5% increase in property tax for Mumbai citizens and have also asked the government to slash premiums on construction activities by 50% and have also asked to cut premium for extra FSI, that is floor space index, and concession agreements by 50%. On the back of this, we saw a huge surge in the stock prices of Sunteck Realty, Kolte Patil, Godrej Properties. In fact, let's listen in to what he told us this morning.
There are 22 such premiums for which we collect about 4,000 crores every year. Now, we have group leaders of various political parties in BMC. They all wrote to me, gave in writing that to boost the real estate of Mumbai, let us recommend to the state government to slash the premiums by 50% for the next 14 months. That is from this October till next December 21. And accordingly, then I have requested the state government in writing that let the premiums be slashed by 50%, all 22 types of premiums, so that people benefit and the real estate gets a big boost.
Okay, stocks are flying on the back of that. The third and the last headline then today, we will not be looking at any lockdowns in Mumbai. That's the word coming in from BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal. Shashank Joshi, the member of COVID-19 task force, mirrored this view and added that the situation in Mumbai was well under control. However, he did warn that the next 3 months are crucial in mitigating the second wave of the virus. Listen in.
I would appeal to our eminent, respected citizens of Mumbai that it is in their own hands whether to invite a second wave or not. Next 3 weeks are very crucial for us because even if during Deepavali there was hardly any crackers which were burst, and I really salute the citizens of Mumbai that despite no ban in Mumbai, despite the fact that we allowed crackers in private premises, there was hardly any cracker on 14th of November, which shows the discipline of our citizens, that how they cooperated and listened to our appeal.
There is a likely possibility and probability that the slums might have developed some sort of high exposure or possible immunity. Of course, we can't make a certainty there, but we know for sure that the number of cases reported from the slums over the last 6 to 12 weeks have been very less. Testing has definitely been ramped up. During Diwali time, the testing was only 3 to 4,000. It has gone to 17 to 18,000. And the test positivity rate has come down from around 9% to somewhere around 5 to 6%. And we are in no frame of mind or a position to have any lockdown measures, but we might need to do some micro containment strategies wherever there are red spots or hot spots where there might be mini surges of cases. We need to be very cautious, very careful, and not blow up now when there is a receding number of cases. We have a lot of hospital beds which are available, but we have to be fully prepared for the pandemic second wave. You know, the next 3 months are going to be crucial in terms of mitigating the second wave, and we have to ensure that our case fatality rate stays lower, and wish and pray that the virulence will be lower, but we can't predict that. Right now, it is too early to say that.
Okay, so that's basically the view coming in from officials. So no lockdowns, vaccines on their way. Markets, of course, extremely buoyant, all-time highs, 13,000 plus on the Nifty. It's a wrap on this edition of Markets Today. From Lata, me, everyone on the team, thank you very much for staying with us. More comes up in just a bit.
The risk management approaches of yesterday and today will not suffice for the risks of tomorrow. Bringing together renowned thought leaders and industry veterans to share their insights on how the sunrise sector can de-risk themselves in a boundaryless world. ICICI Lombard and CNBC TV18 present the Masterclass series, Boundaryless Risk Management, Sunrise Sector, this November.
Presented by ICICI Lombard General Insurance.
We move so your world can move. If it's important, Blue Dot it.
इस भयानक महामारी से जंग में हमारा सबसे बड़ा हथियार है पानी, क्योंकि पानी है तो स्वच्छता है, पर जरूरी है इसका समझदारी से इस्तेमाल करना, और यही है मिशन पानी का लक्ष्य। जुड़िए मेरे साथ आप एक न्यूज़ 18 मिशन पानी से, क्योंकि स्वच्छता और पानी आखिर बचानी है जिंदगानी।